And that gave me the confidence to continue to go in with these other writers that knew how to write for the rest of the weekend and write music with them and open up and share feelings. And that's also another hard thing sometimes writing is like getting comfortable with someone you just met like 5 minutes ago and like telling them your life story. Hey.
Hello, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I am fantastic. I love the skateboard decks behind you.
Thank you. Here,
Those are sick.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I love them. This is my room.
Oh, nice. What company made those? Or did you just
They're by Hylas.
Oh, those are dope.
Like little pills.
Yeah, I grew up skateboarding, so right away I'm like, oh, those are sick.
The ironic thing is that was like the one thing my brothers and I were never allowed to do is skateboard growing up. Like there were like no rules, but there were no skateboarding.
Really? What,
Yeah.
just too dangerous or something? That's
Like too dangerous. Like we all played sports and stuff like that. And I guess my parents just like heard so many stories about like every kid breaking their arm or leg skateboarding. And then one kid died at my school.
skateboarding?
Yeah, but he was skateboarding like a gigantic mountain.
Okay. And he fell?
He just was going, he ended up going like 50 miles an hour down this hill on a skateboard. And there was like a little tiny little pebble and he flew and cracked his head open and like
that's
like
crazy.
On a stop sign. It was really bad.
Oh,
It was like, I want to say in like 10th grade.
What a way to start this interview. Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
that's insane. I thought you were gonna be like, because the skater kids are always like the degenerates that were smoking cigarettes, and that was more my parents are like, I don't know if I want you hanging out with these degenerates, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna hang out with them anyway, and then skateboarding.
Where did you grow up?
San Diego.
Okay, yeah.
Where
so
are you
I grew
from?
up in LA.
Oh, okay, not too far away.
One of the very rare ones.
Sure, I know. There's not many people from Southern California that are either living there still or actually born and raised there.
No, completely. But we all like played sports and my parents were just like my brothers were also like, we're a big baseball family. Mm-hmm. So my brothers were also not catchers.
Oh.
And I played soccer and like I wasn't a big goalie.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. I wouldn't want my son, I have a 6-year-old and he plays baseball. And I don't want him to be catcher either. Like they're starting to put kids as catcher, and I'm like, yeah, I don't need the ball hitting him in the balls. It's all good. No. But yeah, so that's awesome. So you're born and raised in LA. I'm Adam, by the way. I don't even know if I told you.
I'm Casey.
Introduce myself to you.
Pleasure.
Pleasure to meet you as well. Again, I appreciate you doing this.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Yes, I love your EP. I really want to talk to you about that, obviously.
Thank you.
And Sophie Cinnamons produced it, right?
Yeah, she was my executive producer.
That's killer. I've interviewed her before. She is a legend, obviously from a legendary family as well. But
she's literally a genius. Like, there's nothing that woman cannot do.
I know.
Like, she writes a song in 5 minutes.
Really? That she works that quickly?
So quickly.
That's like crazy. So quickly. I know some of the songs she puts out. I'm like, oh my gosh, like Leah Kate, she wrote some songs for her and those, and she's blowing up, and like, it's awesome to see her career really do what it's doing.
She's amazing. And I've learned so much. Like, I'm so grateful for Sophie. That's awesome. She's like the most incredible mentor, and like, we've become so close. And so
that's incredible. I love that she's a lot more like behind the scenes when it comes to the industry, as opposed to her dad being like, front
just
and
like
center.
Slightly different, slightly different, levels of out there behind the scenes type of vibe.
Right. Very cool. So you're born and raised in LA. What part of LA did you grow up?
I grew up in the Valley.
Okay. And how did you get into music? I did see, I was stalking your Instagram for a little bit here just to kind of do some research, and I saw a picture of you. You were like 8 and you're like holding a microphone.
Yeah, that was at my 8th birthday party. Actually, I had a birthday party. Yeah, we had a DJ because like growing up, I played sports, but like most little kids do. Mm-hmm. But since I could speak, and even when I was a baby, I was humming, and my parents were like, what is this kid doing? And nobody in my entire family, like distant and everything, has any sort of musical anything.
Really?
So yeah, I know it's weird. We're like, whose kid is this? If I didn't look like them, it would be weird.
That'd be questionable.
But so I was as soon as I could talk, I was singing like Mary Had a Little Lamb with like vibrato and like on key. And they're like, who is this?
Wow. So
And
did they really embrace that? Were they like, okay,
oh
she
my
can
God,
sing
yeah.
really well. Let's put
They're
her
like,
in chorus and choir and
I'm like, who dat? Whose kid is that? But then I went to my first concert. I was 3 and I went to the Hilary Duff concert and I was on my uncle's shoulders and I was hysterically crying because I wanted to be on stage with her singing.
oh,
Mhm.
wow. Hilary Duff was your first concert. That's awesome.
Yeah, Hilary Duff was my first concert. And ever since then, I was like, well, she did it. I could do it.
Yeah, right.
So
And
that was the moment where I was like, I'm going to be a pop star.
you can remember that 3 years old.
That was like one of my first memories.
Wow, that's awesome. And you remember being on your uncle's shoulders and at
Yeah.
the show.
I just remember like seeing her right there. And I was just like in awe. I was like, I want to go up there. Like, why can't I sing with her? I do that.
Sure. So were you a Lizzie McGuire fan or is that before your time?
Lizzie McGuire.
Okay.
No, totally. That's like, it came out, I want to say in like 03. So I was 3. I'm a 2000s baby.
Oh man.
I was like
okay.
2 or 3.
I'm old. Wow. Okay. So yeah, you were watching that around the same time and then you went and saw her concert. That's killer. That's awesome.
And then, you know, the Lizzie McGuire movie came out, I think a couple years later. And I was just like, oh my God, this is my queen.
Did you watch, what was her other movie? Something Cadet?
Oh, Cadet Kelly.
Cadet Kelly.
I love that movie. I love that movie. It's a great movie.
And then she was on The Bachelor recently. I saw that. I was like,
what?
Really? Yeah, you didn't see that? One of the most recent seasons. They like went to her house to they like threw her kid a birthday party. You didn't see that? Maybe you just don't watch The Bachelor. Who knows? She was on it. Yeah, they were at her house, like throwing her kids a birthday party. I can't remember if it was. It had to be The Bachelor.
How does The Bachelor throw a birthday party for?
Because it was like, oh, let to see how you act around children. You know, they do those stupid like challenges. It was a group date.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just feeding you all this amazing Bachelor knowledge that I know.
No, I'm gonna have to go look this up after.
You will. I mean,
I'm gonna have so many hours on like tour in the van. I'm just good. Like I'm collecting up like everything I need to watch.
Okay, Jesse. Oh yeah, you're doing the Jesse McCartney tour.
Yeah, I leave in 2 days.
So cool. Have you toured yet? Or is this your first
tour?
Experience? Wow. Okay, we'll get there as well. I want to talk to you about that. But yeah, I forgot what season it is. I bet if you just Googled Hilary Duff Bachelor, it was recent. You could probably find it on like Hulu.
Oh, I will find. That's literally what I'm doing.
Just look for that exact episode because there's really no reason to dig deep into the most recent seasons of The Bachelor. Okay.
But now I'm so excited. I have something to watch tonight.
There you go.
Also, her son and my dog have the same name, Luca.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you name your dog after her son?
No, I think my dog
just happened to find
older.
That. Oh, your dog's older than her kid. Okay.
Oh, my puppy's 7.
Oh, I don't know her kid.
Oh, I don't know how old her kid is.
I don't have that. I'm not that deep of a dive into Hilary Duff. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So Hilary Duff, your first show, you started singing early on. Obviously, in that picture, you're 8 singing. Do you play an instrument or did you?
I play piano. I started playing piano when I was about 5.
Wow.
And it was start and stop for a while.
Okay.
Because 5-year-olds are not great at focusing, especially when, you know, my teacher wanted me to play like classical in the books and everything. And I was just like, yo, I want to play Hilary Duff.
Right. Why do they do that? I don't get that. Like I've had this conversation before where it's like, if you want to have a kid, like really learn music and embrace
especially a young kid.
Right. Teach them the songs they want to know.
Especially when they're eager to learn.
Right. They can go back years later once they have the concept of everything and learn Bach if they feel like it. But there's no reason.
I barely remember how to read music at this time. At this point.
Which is like
I never read music. I probably don't think I could anymore.
I don't know if a lot of people do. I mean, maybe you're a session musician that has to like be able to just look at something and play it right away. But if you're like writing songs,
most like musicians play by ear or by chord.
Right. Exactly. Wow. Okay. So you did piano. Were you and you're on and off with piano?
Theater.
Okay. How old are you in musical theater? 6. Okay.
My first show, it was High School Musical.
Wow. Okay.
I loved it. And ever since then I was like, okay, this is what I do. I perform on stage.
Did you continue with that like through middle school and high school?
I continued with it. I think my last show I was about 14.
Okay.
Which was Wicked.
Oh, nice.
I was like maybe 12.
Okay.
I was Wicked. I was Glinda.
Wow. Okay. Did you like that? You said you had a birthday party, and that's what your 8th birthday party where you're singing on the mic.
That was that. Yeah.
Was that like a karaoke party, or like what was the birthday like theme?
It was. We had a DJ.
It was just a DJ, and you're like, okay, give me the mic. I'm gonna
and like
sing
we
some
were
songs
doing
for
like
these people.
karaoke. We were doing like karaoke and dancing, and it was in my backyard. And
okay.
It was a moment, and I was like, let me sing a song. And like none of my friends, so growing up, none of my friends really did music. Like all of my friends were just like school friends or friends from soccer. And because when I did musical theater, I was usually one of the younger ones. And like 15-year-olds don't want to hang out with a 6-year-old.
Usually not.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, like I was down to when I was 15, but like whatever.
Right. But when you were 6, the 15-year-olds weren't down.
Yeah, kind of not. So a lot of my friends never were musical. And I was kind of like the only one that like had that interest. So I was just like, okay, I'll sing. You guys can enjoy. And then, yeah.
When did you like find your tribe of people that enjoyed, like that were playing music and writing music? Was that later in life?
That's like recent.
Oh, okay.
That's like actually pretty recent. And like I have the same best friend since I'm like 5 years old, and she has zero musical anything about her, which is probably why we've been best friends for 16 years.
Okay.
But that was kind of the way it was growing up. I didn't have that many friends that were musical.
So it's just something you did and not other people that you
like my friends would come support me, but they never like fully did it with me.
Got you. Did you write songs or anything like that through high school?
I wrote my first song when I was like 6.
Wow.
It was called Butterfly. I do not remember it at all.
You remember the title.
I also wrote one called Down on the Farm, which was literally Old MacDonald, but I just like changed up the words a little bit. So
Down on the Farm in the Valley of Los Angeles.
Literally. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
So
when did you start?
Took a hiatus for about 10 years.
Okay. So at 16, you come back to writing 16, songs.
I went to a writing camp with James Fauntleroy, and he's like one of the kings of writing. Like he's so talented. He writes for Rihanna, Bruno Mars, Kanye, like
wow,
Justin Timberlake. Like he's phenomenal.
And where'd you find out? Was this guy running the songwriting camp?
He was,
or just
like there? the featured writer.
Got you.
Like you went to the camp for him.
Okay.
Like he didn't like own the camp.
But he was the guy. Like
that's why you went.
Attraction. Sure.
Yeah. So I had no idea how to write a song at this point. I remember, and I was so nervous. So right before that, I had really terrible anxiety. And I stopped going to school for a little bit, lost all of my friends because people in LA, surprisingly, were like, oh my God, she's homeschooled. Like that can't happen. So other than my best friend, I had no friends for a little while. And I felt like so shunned and isolated because everyone was super like, oh my God, no. Which was super hard. And I definitely think it made it worse, especially because I was hiding it the whole time. Because I was like, oh my God, no one can know there's something wrong with me. Like other people don't feel like this. So when Justin Bieber released his Purpose album, that was the first time I ever heard anyone speak about anxiety and not being perfect. Because especially growing up in LA, it's like show the best, hide the rest.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. Or I don't like that, but it does make sense.
No, totally. So when he released Purpose, that was the first time I heard someone talk about not being perfect. And I was like, oh my God, like someone I already love feels like this.
Right. And someone that looks like him and sounds like him and can write like him. It doesn't, it's like, oh, wow. Like other people really go through this, even though you'd look at him and be like, oh, this dude's perfect.
Totally. I'm like a kid and I'm like, oh my God, like I'm not alone. And that was the moment I was like, so if he can make me feel like this through his music, if I could do this even a quarter of the amount for even one person, like that's my dream. Because I would not be in this position if I didn't hear his music at that point when I really needed it.
Right. I mean, I feel like I don't know, I guess it could go both ways. So like with social media now, maybe it's easier for kids to like seek out people that are speaking to that like, in a positive way, but like also it's the other way around with it's like, let's show your best self. What was it? Show the best, hide the rest.
Show the best, hide the rest.
I mean, that's totally like pretty much a lot of social media to the T, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, wow. Yeah.
So that's kind of how I started into writing. And I remember I got to the camp and I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I was so determined because I was like, all right, I've got to do what he did for me to somebody else. So I remember I tried to write this song. He was like, you guys have 3 hours to write a song and then we're going to perform them. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know how to write a song. So I remember I did it.
Help you or like what? Like
no, because I was the only person there that never wrote a song.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, and like I knew like conceptually how to do it. And like I played piano, so I like couldn't have the music. But I wrote this song and then he made us all perform it for everyone. And I was like,
how terrifying was that?
Great. I'm performing is like where I'm most comfortable. So it's like, I was like, that was like the only time I think I was ever like nervous to perform. Like that's usually where I'm most comfortable. Like never in my life have I ever had any ounce of like, oh no. It's always been like, okay, I'm ready.
Right. But I mean, you have to be vulnerable, right? You got to show this group of people
who are all writers.
Right. The song that you just wrote and you hadn't done it before. So it's like, okay, not only do I have a song that I just wrote, but I've got to like share it with all these people that are also songwriters. I mean, yeah, that had to be really difficult.
And so I remember performing it and I was like, I completely bombed it. Like it was horrible, so bad. And at the end, he stood up and started clapping and like everyone stood up and started clapping. I'm like, I don't know why you guys are clapping. That was terrible. He's like, no, you did exactly what I wanted you to do. Oh. He was like, because you will never have a song or do anything that was like this or felt like this again, because he's like, the words are there and everything is there, but you just need to learn it. And from that moment on, he's like, you literally couldn't have done it better. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, whatever you say, I'm gonna listen to you because you write for one of my favorite people. So
I can see where he's coming from. I mean, if you like, you got over the hump, right? It's like, okay.
It was like getting over the hump kind of.
Right. Or if you like you were in like recovery or something, if you like hit the rock bottom of the rock bottom,
yeah,
it's like, well, all I can do is go up now. Right. Was that something that it was hard to like kind of digest what he was telling you? And like, were you self-conscious about moving forward with songwriting or
after that? I was like, oh, okay. I remember literally right after that. And I was like, oh, thank you so much. I remember like I walked out of the room and walked near my mom's car and I was hysterically crying. And I was like, oh my God, like I just bombed that. And my mom was like, he said you did it, but I was also the youngest there. I was 16 and everyone else was like over 18. So my mom had to come.
Oh, sure. Okay.
And I was like, I just bombed it. Like everyone thinks I'm, blah, blah, blah. And then my mom was like, but he just told you you did exactly what he wanted you to do. And so then I remember from that moment, I was like, okay, like I did that. And then that gave me, after he was like, it's going to give you the confidence to like know that like it's only going to get better type of vibe. And that gave me the confidence to continue to go in with these other writers that knew how to write for the rest of the weekend and write music with them and open up and share feelings. And that's also another hard thing sometimes writing is like getting comfortable with someone you just met like 5 minutes ago and like telling them your life story.
Right. They're like, so what do you want to write about? You're like, well, and you got to like give them the deepest, darkest secret.
Oh yeah. I'm like, well, this is how like my life is really sad right now. Or like, I'm sad or like, I'm so happy, like just giving them everything raw and everything. So that also showed me how to do that as well, which was definitely a learning curve at that current moment. But after that, for about like 6 months, I was just like, I still don't understand this totally. And then I started writing more and more and more. And then it clicked. And then
you remember the moment it clicked? Like, were you like, oh, this is the song?
There were a few moments I like vividly remember. One of my like, the one where I was like the best song I ever wrote was like in that time was with one of my good friends who's also he's an amazing writer. He writes for like everyone. He's actually on like the top 40 charts right now, but his name is Nick Lopez. And he was like one of the first like big writers that I worked with, or he was the first. And that was really exciting because the song that we wrote together was one of my favorite songs that I'd written. That was the moment where I was like, okay, I'm a good writer. I felt like if I can work with him, then I was like, kind of like I had done something correct.
Right. Validated what you're doing.
Totally. So that was definitely one of the moments where I was like, you go, girl.
Okay. Did you release the song?
No, the song is actually not released. It's called Let Go. It probably won't ever be released. I wrote it when I was like 17.
Oh, okay. Wow. So you're working with him that young. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, no, he gave me a shot.
Rad. And from there, did you continue to work with other writers and kind of just develop your craft? Like what happened from there? Okay.
From there, I got the bug. And anytime, I was still going through all the anxiety, and I hid the anxiety for a really, really long time because I was so, like, oh my God, people are going to think of me like I'm weird. And like I said, it showed the best hide the rest. And after a really long time, I noticed that like people were starting to talk about it more. And it did take me a while. I think I was probably about 19 when I was like, hi, I have anxiety. I'm not perfect. It was really hard for a lot of years, but I'm here now. I still have my moments. I'm 21 now and I still have my moments.
I'm 37 now and I always have my moments. I have struggled with the same thing. So don't worry about it.
Twinsies.
Yeah.
But one of the coping things that's helped me the most is writing.
That's probably therapeutic for you, I would imagine.
So therapeutic. Like anytime I'll have like a feeling, I'm just like, oh my God, where's my phone? I need to write in my notes. Or like I'll be driving and I'm like, hey Siri, open my notes and write blah, blah, blah.
Oh, that's smart.
And then that's how like a lot of my songs are born. I'll look after I like stop driving because like that's not safe. And yeah, I don't want to do that.
Here's a quick PSA.
Yeah, don't write music while driving, kids.
There you go.
If you're going to use Siri, but so like after that I'll like see the idea and sometimes she kind of butchers it, but I'll be able to like fix a little bit and add to it because like if I have like I'll have the feeling and then sometimes I could forget it, but once I read it again it'll open it back up. So I'll write like a little brief there, and then next session before the session I always go into my notes. I have tens of thousands of notes on my phone.
Wow.
And I like organize them like by things I'm feeling right now, and I never delete old ideas because
that's a really smart idea. Or
5 years ago,
yeah,
that's a concept I like. That's definitely happened to me. I'm like go back to an old concept or like a word that I wrote down. I'm like, it's a cool word, but it just wasn't something that hit at that moment.
Yeah, it wasn't the time. Wow.
So before sessions, I pick about 3 or 4 ideas, and then we pick the vibe or whatever, and then talk about them. And my favorite thing to do is see what idea out of like those couple people vibe with the most. And then we usually use that as like the lift off.
Awesome. So when you go into a songwriting session, I'm not a songwriter, but I enjoy talking to them. So you go into a session, you're like, okay, I'm gonna go through my notes. I have, this idea, and this idea. And then you walk in, you meet, say they're new people, right? They're like, oh, hey, I'm Adam, or I'm blah, blah, blah. And then they just go, what do you want to write about? Is that kind of like set the stage? Like, how does that work? I'm always so curious.
It is different sometimes with other writers, but generally the way I always write is I'll come in with like song inspiration. Like, okay, so today I want to write like, I don't know if I can curse on here, but like
you can say whatever you want.
Okay, so like today I want to write a fuck you song.
There you go.
And about something like that. So I have the kind of musical inspiration in my head. I'm like, okay, I want something like sometimes I'll bring in a song that of an artist I love and I'm like, I want it to be in this lane, this vibe.
Okay.
So we'll go with that and then we'll start picking beats and chords for things that, hit. And once we've got a little something, we start talking about the idea. So, we're talking about an idea. We have, producer working on that at the same time, whether he's also the writer or she. And so then we're working on that at the same time. And as the song starts to build, we'll start like putting into our phones and like voice memos, like little melodies that we're hearing could be for verse, chorus, pre, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then whatever we feel like is the most solid melody for whatever part. And like we could fit in a few words that we've been thinking about, and usually we'll like talk about the idea and like get a few other, like sentences, or like go into depth about whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So then we'll try and start fitting a few of those things in with that melody. And that's kind of how that usually works. And then we kind of go through it. And
with like, speaking to the new record, like working with Sophie Simmons, like, was she somebody that came to you and was like, because explain her role as executive producer. Does she kind of like oversee the whole project, or
totally.
And then how do you guys get in contact, and how does this whole thing kind of unfold?
So I DM'd Sophie actually on Instagram because I loved her work and I loved her writing, and I was like, yo, like if she responds, amazing. If she doesn't, like, all right, I get it. And she responded, and I was like, oh my God. And she gave me a chance. Our first session together was actually in April. I think it was probably April. I have it in my phone. I think it was probably like April 18th, something like that.
So like a year ago.
Yeah, like almost exactly a year ago we met for the first time. I had DM'd her, I believe, in November or December, and this was like the first time we were able to get into a session together in person. And
wow, did she respond pretty quickly?
I think she responded within like next day or two.
Wow.
And I remember like opening my DMs and I was like, oh my God, she responded. And so we started writing a song. And from the second we started writing, I was like, oh my God, she's the most incredible writer. And she just got me. From the second I started talking about what I wanted to write about, she understood it and understood me so quickly, which was the most amazing thing, because it's like, writing with someone, sometimes like the message gets a little bit lost because other people have different interpretations of your idea, and then it kind of gets swayed a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And so she just got it, like hit the nail on the head with exactly what I was saying. And like, we were kind of just in sync, and I was like, yo, like this chick gets me. And then I was like, I need more sessions with her. I remember like telling my mom at the time, I was like, yo, like she's it.
She's a real deal.
I remember like we were contacting her managers to get more sessions. And after a little bit, I was like, I knew I was going to put out an EP at some point in the near future. And I was like, she needs to help me with it, because I was like, that's the best song I've ever written. That's the song I feel most connected to.
Did it make the record?
It is not on the record, actually.
Okay. Did you ever put it out?
No, it is not out.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It probably won't ever see the light of day, but
you have some bangers that you haven't put out. Okay.
It's called Easy If I Hated You.
All right.
But yeah, the song's probably never going to see the light of day, but it's a great song.
Okay.
But it's just not like the music I'm putting out right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we just started working together, and a lot of the sessions were over Zoom, and she set up sessions with all these amazing producers on every different continent. Like I was working with people in Sweden, people in London, people here, like people in New York, like everyone was all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And this was like still during like COVID times ish. So the first couple of sessions were definitely in like a Zoom setting.
Yeah, was that weird?
It was weird, but it just kind of worked. But it was definitely weird at first, and then you kind of like get the hang of it.
And then are you cutting the vocal at your house or something? Like, how did that all work?
So the first song that made it onto the EP that we wrote together was Wonderland.
Okay.
Which is the first one.
The first song, and it has like it has that really cool, like it reminds me of like
Alice in Wonderland.
Like the lyrical, but like the lullaby, it has like that like childish
like a jewelry box.
Right, a jewelry box. That's what I was trying to go for. Yes. That's cool. That's a really cool song.
Thank you. So we wrote that over Zoom, and then the amazing producer, Mike Fatkin, who I love, he also produced Never Have I Ever.
Oh, really? Okay.
He's phenomenal. I love him. And so I went into his place and we recorded it there. So that was the first song that made it onto the album that we recorded.
Okay. And then she was kind of helping you over Zoom, and then you had the like lyrics or whatever and the melodies, and you went and sang in his studio.
Yeah, I think she was probably in like Sweden at the time. So
yeah, I think wasn't she in the UK or lived in the UK? I remember, I think I interviewed her and she might have been
she travels
like
a lot.
London or something. I can't remember. Yeah.
Totally. She travels a lot.
Okay.
So
wow.
I recorded it with Mike.
Okay. And then how many sessions I mean, it must have been a handful of sessions, right? To write the record?
Definitely. There were at least 20 other songs that we had written that just didn't make it.
Okay. And then how do you narrow down what became the 6 for the EP? So
once we started writing them, there was a song that we wrote. The first one that I fell in love with was obviously Wonderland. But then it moved over into like a little bit of a rocky-ish vibe.
Yeah, there's definitely some pop punk-ish.
Yeah, like, the first one was Lover and Psychopath. Okay. And as soon as like we wrote that and like I heard it, I was like, yo, we need to have more songs like this. And I felt like that was just super me, because that was also music I loved in general. Like I'd listen to like Avril Lavigne vibes the best.
And yeah, I can hear that.
So as soon as we did that, we kind of changed gears a little bit. So after that one came R.I.P. in like that rocky world, that like pop rock. And so that's kind of how that happened. And then I went through a little breakup of my long distance relationship right before my birthday, which is Never Have I Ever.
Oh. Is that the one? That's the one with the piano?
Yeah.
I love that song. That's a great song. It's
Thank you. That was the first song I cried recording and writing.
Really? Wow, that's a great song, and it fits on the record for sure. It just doesn't sound like any of the other songs on the record.
Totally, which is what I thought was really fun about it, because conceptually it fit in with, you know, kind of the vibes of the concept of the song, to make them like a perfect body of work that were all like fluid. But sonically it was definitely a little bit different. And I was just like, it happened like 2 days before that session, and I was a mess and I was so sad. And so I walked in and I started telling them the story, and we're like, I remember Sophie being like, okay, well, I know what we're writing about today. And we started writing. And then when I was going to record, I was like, oh my God, I think I'm gonna cry. And then I just remember like they just made it so comfortable and amazing, where I was like, I remember like a tear dripping down my face, and I was like, guys, like this is so sad. And I remember Sophie sitting like right behind me on the couch being like, oh, I'd come give you a hug, but you just sound so amazing right now, so please just keep going, just keep going. And I was like, okay. So like at the end of the song, you can kind of hear that I'm like, be together is the last.
I have to go back and listen to it and see if I can catch it.
Yeah, so the last little chunk, I was definitely a little emotional.
Oh wow. Okay. And I'm curious, because I have a press release for you, and the EP track listing is different than what is on your Spotify. And was that something that you guys hadn't solidified yet, or were those just songs, or did you go back and kind of rearrange how the record was going to sound, like sonically through?
So the order on Spotify is the order we had talked about. And like it was like when we discussed order, it was always that.
Oh, okay.
So that we also did have a different EP name like previously, which I don't think I had said before, but I'm not going to say the title, because I think I want the title to be the name of my album.
Okay. I see.
So, you know,
yeah, because the EP, it doesn't have the name. It just it's still set. It's still Not That Girl, though, on the press release I have. But the first song is Lover and Psychopath, and it goes Never Have I Ever, Not That Girl, R.I.P. Take a Personal Wonderland. Was that just the order that you released? The order I
released them.
That's what I thought. Okay.
And then on like Spotify, it's Wonderland.
It's how you wanted the record sonically to sound. in that order. Got you.
That kind of story.
Very cool.
And yeah, so then Not That Girl, the title of the EP, was the last song we wrote, actually.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. And we literally wrote that like 2 months ago.
Wow. So that's a really new one.
Yeah, like super new.
Okay.
And as soon as we wrote that song, I was like, this is the title.
Okay.
Like we just knew. I actually, maybe even a month ago, I don't even know. It was very, very recently. But the song just kind of, I knew I wanted to write something like that because I don't know if you've heard the song, but.
No, I have. I've heard the whole record.
Oh, well, thank you. So the song really just describes, me as a person. I'm not that girl. I'm not the girl that's going to go sleep around and party and, do drugs and
drugs in the, what did you say? Do drugs in the bathroom is like one of the first lines on the record. Yeah. All right.
Get high in the bathroom line.
Oh, get high in the bathroom line. That's what it was.
Like, it's like, get high in the bathroom line, man, that's nothing like me.
Mm-hmm.
And like, if that's what you do, go for it. Like, you do you, and there's no shame in any of that. I mean, like, obviously don't do illegal drugs because like, you want to be alive. But
don't condone it, but
I don't condone it. But if that's what you do,
what you're gonna do.
Shame, no hate, and no shade or anything. But that's just not who I am as a person. And I had noticed like the real story is how it went is I was at a club one night with a friend and she went home with a random guy she met that night. And I went home in my Uber alone. And I was like, man, I'm not that girl. Like, I could never do that. Even if I tried, I'd just look funny or be awkward or fuck it up. And I was just like, I'm not that girl. And I'm like, I'm not the girl that's going to go do that. I'm not the girl that's going to do this. And I was like, and I kind of wanted to be because I was like, I feel so different from, my friends and like what's popular and like girls at my age, like this is kind of what they usually do.
Sure.
And I was just not able to do that. And I'd wanted to theoretically, but that was the night where I was like, but that's who I am. And like, that's okay because I'm not that way. And that's the way I am. And that's okay. I love being this way because that makes me.
I love that because I'm sure it's a stereotypical thing that you get. Yeah. I bet you get stereotyped and all that other crap all the time too.
Always.
And you're like, no. Let me play you this song.
I'm much different than how I look. Trust me.
Yeah, I love that.
I'm like awkward and shy, which is people are always like, you're shy. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so shy. Anything that doesn't have anything to do with music, I'm like, hi, I'm Casey. Nice to meet you.
I would have never guessed that you're shy.
Yeah, and even as a little girl, I was too. But anything with music, I'm like, hello, how are you?
Is it because that's your element? You feel like comfortable talking about it all? Or
I guess so. Okay. I'd always been like, I know what I'm doing. I can back it up. I can talk about it. I can sing. If someone's like sing, I'll sing. Okay. But just in like social settings, I also didn't go to high school. I was homeschooled in high school because of my anxiety and because of music.
I was going to say, it probably comes back to your anxiety also.
Oh yeah, no, everything in my life comes back to anxiety.
Yeah, same with me. I mean, I am such an introverted person. Like I could do this because it's, again, something I'm used to doing. And like I did radio for 17 years because I could just talk to myself in a room with nobody around and I didn't have to interact with people. But yeah, like when it goes to like going out, like even at shows and stuff, I'm like, okay.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
Like at social events, I'm just like, hi.
Right. I'll just be over here being quiet and people think I'm like being a dick. And I'm like, no, I'm just not.
I'm shy.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm going to say something weird and people are going to look at me funny. And
then I'm going to think about it. Yeah. It's going to be reeling in my head like for the rest of the day. And I'm going to go home.
Oh, it's going to be in my head for the next 20 years.
Yeah. Like that person doesn't like me. I shouldn't have said that stupid thing. And then like, if you came to them and they'd probably be like, what are you saying? Like, I don't even remember what you're talking about.
I remember this is like, I go to therapy every week for 10 years. Same here. She's like my best friend. I love her. And one of the first things that like really stuck with me that I was learning is she's like, people don't care about you as much as you think they do.
Right.
Not in a mean way, but they're not going to remember this one little sentence you said that you're going to remember. Because they're listening and paying attention, but that's not changing their life.
Right. They just forgot about it. Or like they heard it. They didn't register enough to where they're going to like retain that in their brain.
Or it wasn't even that weird. It's just your head.
Right.
But that was like one of the first things where I was like, really? And she was like, trust me. And like every time something happens where I'm like, when you're like at a movie theater or whatever, and they're like, enjoy your movie, and you're like, you too. I hate that, first of all. But like people really say that to them all the time. Like they're not going to remember just you being like, oh, enjoy your movie. And they're not going to be like, oh, she's so rude. She told me to enjoy my movie.
Right.
You're going to think about it, but they're not.
You're going to think about it like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. Like for the next, 3 days until
sure.
something else happens that you can reel on.
Until something else embarrassing happens, then that's what you're thinking about.
I heard this. Somebody told me it's nobody cares. You're like, I don't care what. How did it go? It's like something along the line of like people don't care.
No one cares as much as you think they do.
No, but it's like almost like I don't care about myself, but I'm all I think about. Something like
I love that.
something along those lines. Where I can't think of it all. You could write that one down. Take that one.
I'm not even convinced. Do you mind if I write that down?
No.
What did you just say?
I said I don't like myself, but I'm all I think about.
Okay, cool.
All right, that's gonna be your next song. Writing credit, Adam Lisicki. Thank you very much. Wrote my first song today.
Yeah.
Something along the line. You could change it, but that's what I've heard before. I think I manipulated it a bit, so writing credit can still.
Well, I'll figure it out. I'll fit it in.
Just kidding.
I'll make sure to text you the song when it's done.
Oh, amazing. I would love to hear it. That's funny. But yeah, it's the same thing. It's like no one cares, but you care. And it's going to bother you for the rest of the day. But anyway, so she executive produces your record. Does that mean that she's putting it out or just that she kind of was overseeing the entire project?
She kind of oversees the entire project and helps me decide and writes with me and, talks and kind of, we make this like over full circle plan where it's like, I want the album to be a part of this genre specifically and these types of concepts. And I want it to get the point across, blah, blah, blah. And to fit all the music in under one umbrella. And I felt like Not That Girl really did so.
Mm-hmm. And so this concept or the name and title and the song was not, you said what, a couple months ago?
Not even a couple. It was like maybe 1.5.
Oh, wow. So then you're like, okay, I got it. This is the song. I want this to be the record. And then pretty quickly you put it out, the whole thing out.
Yeah, no, it was kind of a crazy experience of that.
Okay.
And I just remember I was like, I don't want this to be the EP title when I had changed it. And we kind of discussed, like, I feel like I have a different little vision for it. And she was like, okay, like, let's work on that, make sure we know what we want, and then go do it. We had a couple more sessions. And Take It Personal also, I recently wrote. Take It Personal, we wrote in January.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So
we wrote that January 18th.
Wow.
And then recorded it like February 2nd.
And then it was just, okay, let's put the record out as soon as we can. No sense to hold it.
Immediately, we loved that song. And I felt like that really fit in with the rock poppy, angry vibe.
Sure. Okay.
That's my fuck you song.
I love it. I think the whole record is awesome. And then how do you land this tour with Jesse McCartney?
So, well, I'm very excited. Jesse was actually my very first crush growing up.
Oh, that's awesome. Does he know that?
Oh, no. When I first met him, I told him like the first like couple of sentences. I did not mean to say it that soon. It just kind of.
I'm Casey, and I would have a crush on you.
And like, by the way, I was in love with you when I was 4. Other than that, but
that's hilarious.
He like perceived it so well and was like, "Oh my god, that's so sweet. I'm so glad you're here." And first, like the second I said it, I'm like, "Oh my god, Casey, you just fucking ruined it. He's not gonna want to hang out with you anymore."
And then you just thought about that for the next 3 days.
The nicest guy like I've ever met, and he's incredibly talented. And just like the day we met, like he just gave me so many like tips, and we just really connected. And I was like, "Oh my god, like this is amazing." And
so, but like, how did the
tour come about?
Yeah, like how did the tour and everything come about?
So this guy, this is a really crazy story. So at the beginning of COVID, I released a song called Make Me Hate You. And my friend, I filmed a little like music video sitting in the corner of my little brother's room with pink hue lights on, just singing the song. And my friend that edited it, his parents posted it on their Facebook, and this guy that his dad went to college with was like, yo, like, can I have her email or her number? And my friend texted and was like, yo, can I give your number to this guy? And I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. And so we started talking. Turns out he married one of my mom's childhood friends, and we just became really close and started talking. And he used to manage Jesse when Jesse was little.
Wow.
And Jesse, I guess, was looking for another opener. And he was like, would you be interested in opening for Jesse? And I was like, hell yes. And so then I guess like he sent my music to Jesse and his team, and they liked it.
That's incredible. What was that news like when you get it? Like, oh, hey,
I cried. I cried. I was like, okay, like this is for realsies. And the tour was originally supposed to be in November, but it got because of COVID.
Oh, sure. Was it November 2020 or was it recently? 21. Okay. But it just, everything kind of got shifted.
Yeah. Going into the winter, it kind of got. So we pushed it until I leave on the 1st.
Wow. So Saturday? Was that a Saturday?
Sunday. This Sunday.
Sunday. And when's the first show? The second, or is it on the? It's on the 3rd.
It's on the 3rd in Cincinnati.
Okay, Cincinnati's the first day. I moved to Nashville, and you're not coming here, so I see how it is.
I'm so sad I'm not going to Nashville. That was like one of the places I really wanted to go.
I'm just kidding, but yeah, I know you should play here. I did see that because I'm looking at the show. I'm like, oh, they're not coming to Nashville. And you're not playing San Diego either. I noticed.
No,
I get it.
We're playing San Fran in LA.
Yeah. I love San Francisco. I lived there for a bit too. And you're playing the Wiltern in LA. That's huge.
I am. Yeah. I'm really excited.
I'm sure you probably went to shows there growing up.
Oh yeah, I definitely have. And then in New York, we're playing at Irving Plaza, which is obviously legendary.
Mm-hmm.
And then also on Long Island. My whole family's from New York, so that's really special. And they get to all come and see it.
That's cool. That's really cool. And you're doing, so you're doing a huge tour for your first tour.
It's a big tour. Yeah, 34 cities.
Yeah, you're going to be gone from May all the way through the end of June. Like, that's crazy. And you're playing Emos in Austin. That's a cool venue as well.
Yeah. Oh, is it really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Everyone's been telling me all the venues are incredible on this tour. And I was like, okay, great.
Oh, Brooklyn Bowl in Philly. Yeah, there's a Brooklyn Bowl here in Nashville. That's where you should have played. Yeah. And there's one in New York too, I think.
Oh, really?
Oh, obviously Brooklyn. Yeah.
There's New York,
Philly and Nashville. Maybe another one. I don't know. Somebody's gonna be like yelling. Yeah, there's a place called
on the tour. Like obviously, House of Blues has a ton of locations.
Right.
But that was actually where I saw Hillary at the House of Blues. It's not here anymore in LA.
Oh, yeah, it's in Anaheim.
Yeah, there's one in Anaheim. It was the one that I went to. I want to say it was on Sunset, right on by the Sunset Strip.
Yeah, and they moved it, and then it was like next to Disney, or it was. It still is.
I think they always had one there.
Is there? Totally there's two. Okay, maybe I'm wrong too.
We might
like reopened it. Yeah, who knows?
Or both be right.
That's cool.
But there's definitely a ton of them all over, and also there's one called the Fillmore that's all over as well.
There's a Fillmore in San Francisco, but you're playing Nob Hill.
Sure.
So that's awesome. Well, this is cool. Congratulations on the tour. The record's rad, and you said you have an album. Is that something that you're going to continue working with Sophie with?
That has not even started yet. That's just
you just have the name. You just have the name.
I just have the name because I've wanted to name a body of work this for as long as I can remember.
Okay. Well, awesome. Congratulations. Good luck on the tour and everything else. That's going to be huge. And I appreciate your time today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I had a blast.
Awesome. Thank you. I have one more quick question. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Oh, 100%. Okay. So number one, be honest with your feelings, because nothing holds you back like not being honest and open. And the way you connect with people the most is being honest and open and sharing your experiences, because everyone always feels so alone. And no matter what you're thinking, like, oh, I'm going through this alone. Everybody out of the billions of people in this world, at least one person has the same feelings as you do. And if you can help that one person, then that's amazing. I also highly recommend playing an instrument. because it helps a lot.